Beyond your work retirement plans, what investment account options are out there? So today, first off, the reason I'm talking about this specific topic is, unfortunately, it's because I've had several people that have told me a couple different things throughout my career. So I decided to do a podcast on this. And it's, even people in their 50s have said stuff like this, like my work does not offer a plan. So I'm not contributing anything to retirement, or um, my work doesn't offer a plan. Some of the places that I work didn't offer a plan, so I never invested during those times. They didn't know that there's other options. You don't have to only invest in your work retirement plan. So those are one camp. They didn't know that you could invest outside, but they would have had they known that there were options for them. And then the other one is, if there's someone who makes, this is the other problem, makes so much money that they're going to max out whatever work retirement plan they have, and they still want to invest outside of that, even because they know to keep that same standard of living once they're in retirement, they're going to have to contribute more than what their work retirement plan's maximum is. And so whatever camp you fall into, whether you didn't even know that there was other places that you could invest, or whether you make so much money you're looking for other places that you can invest, whichever one of those you belong to, we're going to talk about that right now. So first off, there are several different types of accounts that you can invest in outside of your work retirement plan. However, I'm not going to go through every single one of them, but I am going to go through some of the most popular ones that you're going to see out there. And I'd say they're also the simplest ones as well. And the first one would be just a traditional IRA. If you've got a work retirement plan, you also still can contribute to a traditional IRA up to $7,000, or if you're over 50, you can contribute $8,000 now for the catch-up contribution, at least as of 2025. And now, if you make there is some issues there. If you are part of a work retirement plan already and you want to invest in an IRA, there could be some income limits that could disqualify you from doing that. And you can easily Google what those are. But this is a really easy one. You'll get a tax deduction when you put the money in. So if you contribute $8,000 to the traditional IRA, you will have $8,000 taken off of your taxable income. So whatever tax bracket you're in, that'll save you that proportional amount of taxes. So that's the benefit. So the benefit of the IRA is it does have the tax deferred growth. You do get the tax deduction once the money goes in there. The downside is you're going to owe taxes when you withdraw that. Every withdrawal is going to be literally 100% taxable once you start receiving money. And now that's going to be taxed on all of the growth that has happened inside of there too. And you also will have required minimum distributions that will start at a certain age, 73 if you're born before 1960, 75 if you're born 1960 or after. And so then you'll be forced to withdraw money from those and pay tax on those. And if you have other streams of income, that's just going to tack right on top of that, and you're going to be taxed even more on that. So that's one of the huge negatives of a traditional IRA, is that can happen. Now, where can you go to open a lot of these accounts? Well, pretty much anywhere. I mean, if you're a do-it-yourselfer, you could go to one of the online brokerage accounts and do something easy there. I mean, you could go to Vanguard even. I know there's a lot of ones out there that are more, I want to say, up to date on things, or like Robinhood could be one of them. I mean, you're looking at Schwab even has online retail side accounts that you can open up and invest yourself. If you don't know exactly what you should be investing in, and you might want to work with a financial advisor, that would also be recommended. And then they can help you open up those accounts simply as well. There might be a little bit more paperwork, because especially if you're a fiduciary, you have all of the disclosures that you've got to sign and stuff like that. But now you actually have someone who not only pretty much knows where to invest for your specific situation, but can also cater it to your goals. For example, you might just be throwing mud at the wall, not knowing exactly how much you should actually donate or contribute every single year, whether that's to just an IRA, or if they do have a work retirement plan over and above that, to the IRAs or the other accounts I'm going to be talking about. So they may not know how much they should contribute. And a financial advisor could help with that too, along with where to put it. So, I mean, seriously, if somebody's in their 20s, 30s, 40s, that money just probably needs to grow and that's it. That you don't really have to worry about losing money at that time. Now, if you do, understand that it's not comfortable when it happens, but you shouldn't really be concerned about it because you don't even have to access that money for many, many, many years. And the stock market comes back. So when you're younger, yeah, that financial advisor should just basically be investing that money to grow. Now, once you get closer to retirement, that's where you want to kind of pull back, and that's really where we specialize with most of our clients is in the retirement years. 92% of my clientele right now is 60 and above. So there we go. So that's the traditional IRA. And there are also withdrawal restrictions over and above the required minimum distributions. You can't take anything out until you hit 59 and a half, or there will be a 10% penalty on that as well. So now you'll have to pay taxes and the 10% penalty. So you have to wait until 59 and a half. So there's the pros and cons of the traditional IRA. If you want a different type of IRA, there's the Roth IRA that you could set up. And the pros of that are it's all tax-free. The growth on it is tax-free. So you may not get a deduction when the money goes in because it's going to be funded with after-tax dollars. So you've already been taxed on that. So once the money goes into the Roth, you will have tax-free growth and tax-free withdrawals as long as you access that money after 59 and a half. So once you hit 59 and a half and you've had that for at least 5 years, then you can pull that money out. Now, I could go really, really super nerdy into more of the 5-year rules and conversions versus contributions and all of that. That's going to be beyond the scope of what we're talking about today. But I did write an article with Kiplinger magazine that talks more in depth about that 5-year rule. But honestly, there's so many. We're almost never going to see anybody have a problem with that 5-year rule. I mean, especially if you've had contributions in there for 5 years, any contributions now are going to count as if they have been in there for 5 years. So if you open up a Roth account, the 5-year window starts. Let's say you open that up in 2020 and you start contributing to that and you put in $7,000. Actually, it wasn't $7,000. You put in $6,000 back in 2020, $6,000 in 2021, $6,000 in 2022, $6,000 in 2023, 2024, and 2025. It's been open for 25 or for 5 years now. So any new contributions you put in, the moment they go in, they now count as already having been in there for 5 years. So you've already satisfied the 5-year rule with all those contributions. Now, so you get, and it's all tax-free. So that's awesome. You don't have to take any required distributions on Roth IRA money. So you can put in, again, up to $7,000 if you're under 50, $8,000 if you're over 50, and now in 2025. So you can open one of those accounts and have everything be tax-free. And honestly, I prefer that over the traditional IRA. Because what we're finding is most people in retirement don't end up in a lower tax bracket. Most of them end up in about the same tax bracket that they were in when they were working. And so since the IRA, we were supposed to invest into that because we were planning on being in a lower tax bracket when we retire. And since that's not happening, I prefer tax-free, definitely tax-free. So there you go. Also, there are some income limits for contributing to a Roth IRA. But you can get around those by putting money into what's called a non-deductible IRA and then converting it to a Roth IRA. They call it the backdoor Roth. And in my opinion, they should just take those income limits away. If you can literally so easily just call it a non-deductible IRA and then convert it over to a Roth, why do we even have that extra step in there? We should just literally get rid of it. And the income limits for a Roth IRA are $150,000 for single filers and about $236,000 for married filing joint right now. And so if you're over those limits, that's when you can't contribute to a Roth. But you have to do the backdoor Roth, like I just mentioned. So anyway, there's that. Now, as far as the withdrawal restrictions, again, on a Roth IRA, if I did not already say what those were, you have to, again, wait until 59 and a half for them as well, because if you take it out before that, even if you've met the 5-year rule, you'll have the 10% penalty on it. So there's that. Contribution limits are all the same. So you still got limits on how much you can put in, limits on when you can access it as far as your age on the Roth IRA and the traditional IRA. Both of those, you have those same limits, those age limits. There is another account out there that you do not have any limits on how much you can put in. You don't have any limits on when you can access the money. It's called a brokerage account. or sometimes it's referred to as an individual account. It could be a joint account with you and your spouse. It could even be on a trust owned account. And again, it's just basically a brokerage account. You can literally have the exact same investments inside your IRA as you have inside your Roth IRA, as you have inside your non qualified brokerage account. All of them can have the exact same investments inside of them because IRA, Roth IRA, brokerage account, none of those are actually investments. Your 401k is not an investment. Your 403b is not an investment. IRAs, Roth IRAs, brokerage, none of those are investments. What they are tax qualifications. They tell the IRS how to treat the money that comes out of those accounts. That's what they're doing. The actual investments are the mutual funds or the ETFs or index funds, whatever. Those are the actual investments. They're inside of them. It's not the actual account itself. It's the investment. It just tells the IRS how to treat the money that comes out of those investments. And so you can have Google inside your Roth, Google inside your traditional IRA, Google inside your non-qualified brokerage account. You can have it exactly the same. It doesn't matter. So the some things to consider though with the non-qualified brokerage account is you do not get a deduction when the money goes in. You do not access it tax free either. There will be some lower tax benefits because you have now what's called capital gains. When you put money in, that is your basis. So if you put $100,000 in, that's your basis. If that grows to $500,000, well, you have $400,000 of gain in there. So if you literally sold everything, you'd have $400,000 of gain that you'd have to be paying tax on. Now, you might only pay 15% tax on that because the long-term capital gain tax brackets are different than the ordinary income tax brackets. Ordinary income, it's like 0, 10, 12, 22, 24. The long-term capital gains tax brackets are 0, 15%, and 20%. So it only goes up to 20. And so literally and almost unless you're in the very top tax bracket, you won't be paying the 20% capital gains tax. You'll be paying the 15%. And so even if you're in the 22% ordinary income tax bracket, but you only have 15% that you're paying in long-term capital gains, it is tax advantaged. You don't get a tax deduction, but it is tax advantaged. So there's that. There's no stipulations on when you access that money either. You can put it in at any time. There's no limits on how much you can put in. You can't put, it's not that you can only put in $7,000 or $8,000. You could put in 20, 50, 100. It doesn't matter. You can put in as much as you want into these non-qualified brokerage accounts. So there's a lot more flexibility on what you can put in and when you can access it. There's no stipulation that says you cannot access it before 59 and a half, and there's going to be a penalty. So you don't have to worry about that. There's no required distributions once you hit 73 or 75. So there's no stipulations there. So there's a lot more flexibility and liquidity of your funds while you're building your retirement income. So this could play a very, very important part in someone's overall retirement strategy. And then also there are other kinds of accounts. So here's the issue that I found with the Roth IRAs. Remember how I mentioned that if you make, quote, too much money, you can't contribute to a Roth. So then you have to try to do some type of a backdoor Roth. So contribute to a non-deductible IRA and then convert to a Roth IRA, right? So there's extra steps. There's also the ability to invest in certain kinds of life insurance. So we've got 3 brokerage account type of accounts, main accounts that you can contribute to: the traditional IRA, the Roth IRA, and the non-deductible IRA. And then we have a life insurance component as well that works similar to the Roth IRA with a few other caveats, though. So this is where you're investing in, say, a cash value type of a life insurance policy, a permanent life insurance policy, not a term life insurance policy. This is going to be a cash value. Now, before I go too far, I want to talk to all of the Dave Ramsey enthusiasts out there because he's a big proponent of buy term and invest the difference. Well, yeah, that can work out great when you're younger, but when you're older, it's kind of hard to find term rates. And also, there's some things that he's not talking about when he's mentioning that. So he doesn't like cash value life insurance because he says it's just all commission. Well, so's the term. The term life insurance has commission on it as well. But anyway, there are things you can do within cash value life insurance. There's a lot of levers that you can pull inside there that he never talks about in any of his. I've led his his course through our church like 4 times now. So he never talks about the fact that you can actually lower the commission inside of a life insurance policy. You can structure that life insurance policy in such a way that the commission is lower so that more money goes towards the accumulation of the policy. You can actually reduce the death benefit so that the fees inside the life insurance policy go down as well. And therefore, more of the money can go towards the accumulation of the product. You can do all of that. And not only that, life insurance, cash value type life insurance has the ability to grow, but it also has the ability to get access to it in the form of policy loans. And since you can access that money in the form of a loan proceeds are always considered tax free. And so if you end up what we call overfunding say an indexed universal life policy, and when I say overfund, what that means is you are putting in more money than just what the premium is. Like there's going to be a small amount of premium that you will have to put in because it is a life insurance product. But you can reduce that death benefit down to the IRS legal low limit so that most of the growth goes towards the actual gain in the policy rather than going towards death benefit. And therefore that can help increase your gains. But when you overfund it, you are now building up that cash value. And when that way you can access more policy loans in retirement. So, and again, just like the non-qualified account, there's no limit on how much you can actually invest into one of these things, depending on what your premium is. Now, once you figure out what your premium is, there will be a certain amount that you can invest every single year in order to not mech uh, the policy. What does MEC mean? It's modified endowment contract. And what that means is you are contributing too much into it. And now it will make all of those gains taxable. So you don't want to do that. And you can always find out every single year, how much money can I put in without mecking? That's what we call it in the industry, without mecking this policy. And so, yeah, you can do it. And I mean, those numbers are usually pretty high. It usually takes quite a bit that you can put in there before you're going to start making the policy. And so that strategy is sometimes also referred to as the rich man's Roth IRA, because usually people that do this make too much money that they can't put into a Roth IRA. They do still want to have some type of a life insurance coverage, but they're also going to structure it in such a way that they can have tax-free distributions in retirement in the form of policy loans. And now, for those of you that are concerned about the word loan and being in quote debt, I'm using air quotes for those that are just listening to the podcast, debt, air quotes. You're not ever going to pay this policy loan back if you're doing this if you're taking income or taking distributions from the policy in retirement. You're not going to pay that loan back on a monthly basis. You're just going to let the death benefit pay it back. That's it. So this is one of those things where you're just constantly going to be taking out loans every single year and you can have them run. Say if you're 65 years old, you plan on living to be 95. It's like you can have them run an illustration that can show you how much you can take out. And you can literally just have the insurance company run an illustration every single year to tell you, hey, what's the most that I could take out of this and still be okay? And it'll take into consideration all of growth that's already happened, right, in it. And so you can have an idea every single year of how much you could take out of there without really having to worry about it. So there you go. You can overfund it, tax-free growth, no limits on how much you can put in other than what the IRS says that will mech the product, and tax-free distributions. There's no required distributions in retirement. There's no penalties on any of those if you take it out too soon. Matter of fact, I've actually taken out policy loans already. And I'm only 45 years old. I've taken policy loans out. So this is another strategy that you can use. I'm going into all strategies here, maybe too many, but hey, guess what? For those out there that are listening that this might work for, you can do this. I've actually taken policy loans out of one of my life insurance policies to buy real estate. And then I buy the real estate and then I pay a rehab company to fix that property up. And then I rent it out and then I do a refinance on it and I pull that cash equity back out of the property and I put it right back into my policy. And so that whole time may have only taken 4, 5, 6 months to do. And so that money was out of my policy for 4, 5, 6 months. Well, I mean, technically, it wasn't even out of my policy because it was a loan. So it still acted like my entire account value was in there. So it still grew based on what my account value was. The loan is technically money from the company. It's the company's money. It's not my money. But anyway, so that goes out. I don't have a monthly payment that I had to make during those 4, 5, 6 months. And by the way, when I pull the money back out from the cash out refi, then that money goes back in. So I paid interest for what, just a couple months, and that was it. And I never had a monthly payment that I had to make back to it. So, and now it's back in my policy, growing again. So, yeah, that's been a way to, and I didn't have to pay any tax on that because it was a policy loan. So that was a way of getting access to money, tax-free money, before I was 59 and a half, without any type of penalty, without any type of tax, liquid, all that good stuff. So that's one of the strategies that I use it now for when I'm not retired. And that's different than the strategy that I'll use it for once I am retired. Then I'll just take out small chunks every single year rather than big chunks to buy real estate, because probably won't really want to do that anymore at that point. So hopefully that wasn't too all over the place. So let me do a quick recap here. Some of the main types of accounts that you can invest in outside of your work retirement plans would be a traditional IRA, a Roth IRA, a non-qualified brokerage account that could be individually owned, it could be joint owned, it could be trust owned, and some type of a cash value life insurance policy. Those would be the ones that we see most often be in some type of an investment vehicle outside of work retirement plans. And if you do want to meet with a financial advisor to figure out, which one of those accounts would be best for you, or maybe there's a combination of those accounts that might work well for you as well. And we can sit down and actually develop some kind of a plan to put you on pace now to hit those goals, so there's no more guesswork that's involved. And if you're out there and you're getting ready to retire, hopefully you've got multiple types of accounts so that you are diversified from a tax standpoint, not just from an investment standpoint as well. Because we do talk a lot about tax diversification rather than just investment diversification, and having each one of these types of accounts gives you a lot more tax diversification and flexibility from a tax standpoint as well, because you might be able to pull from a different type of account in retirement in such a way that you can lower your overall tax burden. But if you don't even have any of these different types of accounts, well, you don't really have the option now. And so that's one of the reasons that we believe sooner rather than later is the best time to always start anything, regardless. But this is why we want to do this. Is like we want to have that flexibility. It's never too late. We'll say that it's never too late to do that. So there we go. Those are the main types of accounts that you can invest in when you are looking for something outside of your work retirement plan. So that is it. Again, give us a call if you want to talk about getting any of those types of accounts open now and working on some type of a plan. If you don't already have one, we would be happy to help out with that. So we've got our link, 15-minute phone call. We can talk about whether or not any of these type of accounts would work for you, and at least give you some place to start and get the ball rolling. So that's it. Take care.